Hey, John.
Hi, Bill. Whoops. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I can't hear my own audio for some reason. That's good.
Let me
Cool.
make sure that
Happy
while we got.
Friday.
Yeah, happy Friday. How you doing?
Doing well. Doing well. Welcome to Simulation Pulse Live. It's another
Yeah.
Friday afternoon. We're here. I'm John Brouchoud, founder and CEO of Arch Virtual. We're the developers of Acadicus, and we have Bill Ballo here from Madison College.
Hey, everybody. How's it going? My
So
printer's
we
something else. Sorry about that.
written something? No worries at all. The only thing I had one thing I wanted to share just to kick things off, and I'm going to share a link. And this will be added to the website once we get the post live after this is up. But Dr. McAdams and Dr. Trinh have been on a roll, publishing a lot of the work they're doing with neonatal resuscitation. We've mentioned this in quite a few different episodes here, but I'm just going to share my screen because this one just came out, and I think it's pretty cool. I'm going to share the video. There we go. Hide my controls up here. Yeah, so we have employing VR to provide neonatal resuscitation training. VR-based neonatal resuscitation training enhances realism and engagement and is well received by healthcare providers. So it goes through the experience that they had creating the simulation, what is neonatal resuscitation, the importance of it, the benefits of VR training, the use of a catechus, and the next steps that they look forward to advance VR based training and simulation. So I thought
That's
that was pretty
awesome.
cool. Just wanted to share that with y'all.
Yeah, that's fantastic. The we know a lot of the research is pretty solid on the use of VR for simulation, but it's always good to see somebody that we're working directly with
Yeah,
that is putting some stuff out. It's really great. You kind of go, wow, that's awesome. I saw him doing that. So
absolutely. Yep. I remember there's certain customers like you're one of those, where I know the first time we met, you immediately understood the value of it. And Dr. McAdams is similar to that, where, he first saw this and was immediately like, okay, I can make use of this. And we just right away set about the task of exploring different possibilities. And he had some really specific ideas about what he wanted to explore. And we started building content and refining it. And they were able to implement it and study the outcomes and found some pretty exciting and promising results. And so,
yeah,
yeah, we're always excited to see that. I'd rather have our customers talking about how great a catechus than me.
yeah,
Any
yeah,
chance
yeah.
I get, any chance I get, I want to hear their stories.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's really great to see, you know, that the power of direct simulation, instructor student simulation, allowing the instructor to be the instructor, allowing the student to be the student, and coming together within that platform is, it's extremely powerful. So,
Absolutely. And Rick Castillo, our customer experience specialist, shared with me that you and Melissa, I believe, are going to be presenting at an upcoming webinar. I wanted to know, could you want to plug
yeah.
that? Yeah,
Yeah,
let's.
we are. We're presenting for the VR ARA Healthcare Summit for Best in Medical XR. Um, um, Carly Brady and I did one a couple months ago, and they asked us to come back. So the stuff that we talked about as far as what we were doing, we kind of talked about more or less how we got started with VR and then what we were doing then at that point, and kind of talked about like, hey, here's all the programs we work with and all of that. We had 25 programs, which, by the way, I just talked to the 26th, and we have one that is, yep, chemistry will be starting using virtual reality in their classes in spring. So yeah, it's kind of a quick turnaround, and I'm a little nervous about it, but I think it'll be great. Um, but so that was what Carly and I mainly talked about, is sort of how we built it from where we were initially. Melissa and I will be talking a little bit more about how we use it for nursing. So Melissa's really gonna I do a lot of the like behind the scenes. I'll talk about, well, here's what I do, and we bring the students in, and those kind of things. But I'm I want the practitioner to talk. I want Melissa to talk about like how she brought VR forward and how she has brought it to the nursing faculty. Because, yeah, I've done some of that, but not a lot. That's actually been more Melissa than anybody else, going around getting faculty and saying, hey, this person would be good, this person would be good. And then we've got this now grassroots going, which is really cool because I had an instructor contact me the other day and go, hey, I want to do that birthing simulation in my lecture class. Like, how do I do that? I was talking to Becky, and Becky said I should contact you, and that there were steps to it, and how do I do that? And I was like, no problem. We got this covered. Give me some dates. Let's get those scheduled. So it we're getting a grassroots going, but without Melissa, it wouldn't have gone, I think, as far as it has in terms of um, where nursing has got to. And we can't forget Karen German as well. I always have to mention Karen too, because Karen really kind of came in, like, she was on the ground floor of it. She was really sort of the beginning builder. And her and Melissa in the early days, and then Karen went to another. She had another assignment that she went to, and so Melissa sort of took over from there. So Melissa is going to be presenting, and for those of you that are thinking, do I want to hear that? Yeah, you do. Trust me, you do. How Melissa got things going, and what we do currently. Our presentation right now is scheduled for 11:50 Eastern, so that's 10:50 Central. That's when our presentation is, but there are so many really great presentations in this, and it's off of LinkedIn, VRARA, and there's so many great presentations. It's absolutely worth watching, and they're micro presentations. They're all no more than about 10 minutes long, and so you can really get some great information really quickly.
That's awesome. Yeah, VRARA is a phenomenal organization that's been tirelessly promoting the cause of VR and simulation and all kinds of different applications. So great work they're doing. Here's a link to the LinkedIn
Awesome.
where there's yeah, you'll be able to find links to the registration there. And yeah, I mean, definitely hat tip to Melissa. And it's been just really inspiring to see how far she's come in a very short amount of time. And it's sort of like where I kind of want to take off the hat of promoting Acadicus and hand it to our customers. It's like you as the organizer and the director running that XR lab, you're doing something similar where you kind of want to get out of the way and let your instructors be
Yep,
in the spotlight, right? So I love
100%.
that. We want to hear their stories, and Melissa has been a fantastic collaborator. And you're right to definitely mention Karen too, because she, like you say, very ground floor, very instrumental in getting the program going. And now Melissa's just running with it, and it's been really exciting and inspiring to see that. And it's cool because you're starting to see the efficacy with student engagement and all of the wonderful things that we're seeing from this research. You're seeing it firsthand, where the students are more engaged and the retention is higher. They're more, they're retaining all that knowledge. But it's also just in terms of Melissa, in terms of her career, I would love to see that this. Investment of her time and energy is going to return to her as a she's demonstrating the use of a new technology that could effectively revolutionize the way you're bringing simulation to the entire program. If you look at the years ahead, right now we're in this sort of near term, but in the bigger picture, this is a tremendously impactful new direction that she's leading. And it's exciting to see how far she's grown with it and what this could do for her career as well. So
Yeah.
really exciting all around.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the career overall of VR simulation techs. And that's sort of where I'm going to with this is like, I'm looking at this as VR simulation tech. Yes, simulation is there, but there's so much more that we're growing out of that. That actually one of the things at Madison College, I can kind of announce it now. I'm not going to announce the person, but because nothing's official, but we have hired on a part-time person to help in the XR Center. Yeah, I know, John, we can finally start talking again.
I know how important that is to you for sure. Yeah, you need support. That's great.
I just apologized to John the other day on Slack because we have these Slack meetings that we have, like every 2 weeks or every month, something like that. And I have been consistently missing them. And like,
Same.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, I've been consistently missing them because I'm scheduling out 6 weeks, and it's been rough. So I was like, can we like go to lunch or something? Let's sit down and
Yes,
talk
I'm
because
glad. Yeah.
we just haven't had time to do it. You
Well, not
know,
having time because the success of the program is
that's
taking your
it.
time is a good reason to not be able to
Oh
meet.
yeah.
We'll find time and keep it going, but it's great to see that success and that you're busy with the XR lab. That's awesome.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about it. And I remember telling you, a year. It's been a little over a year and a half ago that I was concerned initially that we were going to build this XR center and we weren't going to see a ton of traffic. We'd get a few people here and there, and we had our medical simulation, and I was working really hard to keep that going, and then of course we mentioned before Karen and Melissa when it comes to nursing, and then when it comes to respiratory therapy, Patty Montgomery. And so I had this small amount of people, and I'm thinking, okay, I don't know how much is this going to take off? And then my other big concern was how much are the students going to like it? And yeah, I'm kind of go back and kick myself like you shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have said that. But yes, it's been busy. Yes, it's been stressful, but honestly, I don't think I'd have it under any other way. I really don't. I think it was exactly what I wanted. What I wanted to see was I wanted to see virtual reality expand in terms of the educational environment. And that's exactly what I'm seeing. So, in no way am I complaining, just like it's very nice now that we have a second we're going to have a second set of hands. This person's going to take over a lot of the medical simulation, which is great. The person has a really impressive background, and so there's going to be some medical simulation, and that's sort of going to be the main thing so that I can focus on the other programs that we have as well, and then seeing what else we can do from there. And who knows what's coming in the future for us. So
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember those early days when we were talking about, the groundwork of the XR center, even standing in that empty room and looking
yep.
around and saying, yeah, someday there'll be an XR lab here
Yeah,
and thinking about the logistics of it. And I remember we were like, maybe we should just let students come in here and play Beat Saber.
right, yes,
Just
yeah,
get them in here and like get the
yeah,
headset on, even for
yep,
instructors, like do something fun. And I
yep,
remember there's being sort of a reluctance, like, well, we don't want this to be just a gaming lab. We want to make
right,
sure that
right,
there's a seriousness to it, and
right.
so we resisted that a little bit, and you didn't need it, right? Like once the
Yeah,
instructors were in there and the students started coming
boy.
in, you're making use of it, and now it's beyond bandwidth, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, we've constantly been pushing. We had our official like grand opening to faculty, staff, those kind of things on May 4th of 2023. And we thought, okay, so that's now coming in the fall. Let's do a grand opening for students. And it went so quick between May 4th and September, well, end of August, that I was like, whoa, I don't have space for this at the moment. Let's push it to spring. We'll do it in spring. I even met with Student Senate, and they were just excited about it. They were like, this is so great. And then in spring, I had to tell them, I'm really sorry, but I don't have time to do that. I'm not able to put that in. And those are the things that I don't want to say to people. I don't have time. I'm not able to do that. I don't want to do that. It's so new. Virtual reality in terms of education is so new that we got to get as many people doing it as we can. Like
Absolutely.
saying no is a bad idea. And talking about efficacy real quick, I'll share my screen real quick, because I think this is a good example of efficacy. So on our exit survey for our students, so far we've had 240 responses, somewhere around there. Now, keep in mind we started doing these exit surveys in maybe August of last year. I think actually no, it was later than that. Anyway, but here's one of the things that speaks to the efficacy of virtual reality overall, and the majority of these students are Acadicus students. So the question on it is, do you feel that using virtual reality helped you learn or understand the course material? Look at the yes, it was very helpful for my learning. Like that's out of sight
That's incredible.
compared, you're looking at 57% said yes, it was very helpful. And
Very
then
helpful.
you've got 36% who said it was somewhat helpful. There's very, very few, a little 3.74 and a little 2.8. The other, they talked a little bit more about like, I was just exploring it. This wasn't a class, you know. But yeah, look at the between yes, it was very helpful and somewhat or helped a little. Like that's amazing.
That's
That's a
incredible.
that's a really amazing amount of students, and that's coming just from the students. That's not faculty or staff or anything like that. That's simply from the exit survey and from the students right after they get out of virtual reality.
Wow.
And some of them are trying it for the first time. Actually, our percentages on that, um, none was 35%, novice was 33%. So what's that? 68% had either no or a very small amount of experience with virtual reality. And to
Wow.
then have them come out and say, yes, it was very helpful to my learning, or it was somewhat helpful to my learning, that's really great.
That's incredible. It really
Yeah.
is. Congratulations. I mean, that's just to be able to
Uh,
report that to decision maker and, administrators to be able to say like, yes, not only do we build it, we've got students coming through, we've got volume of students in here, and we have 26 programs now that are using
yeah.
it. But the data is there, right? We can verify this with data. And I think that's what speaks, volumes to everybody that, this is actually working. So that's super exciting. Well done.
Yeah, it's just it's gone beyond what I thought it was going to be originally.
And it's
Um,
it's bedrock, right? Like this is what you can build on, like a foundation that you can build on. So it's great to see the success now, but just imagine where it's going to go from here. Now that
oh
you've got
yeah,
this demonstrated use case, you've got the ball rolling, it's just going to continue to grow, and the headsets are getting better and better and lower cost and higher fidelity. And so we're
yeah,
just at the ground floor of all this, and it's exciting. It's exciting to see where it's coming. I'd imagine it's got to be. I wish I could have been there in the early days of the mannequins when they figured out how well that works for training.
yeah,
Because I just
yeah,
always think about those moments when, those early innovators were like, we could teach students how to practice these skills without the risk of harming someone,
right,
using these mannequins, and it just suddenly just took over essentially all over the world. They started using these and
yeah,
saving millions of lives, and how exciting that was in those early days when they were trying to figure out, look, how can we use these things?
yep,
We're sort of at that stage with bringing that modality into this virtual dimension, and the
yeah,
possibilities just continue to be endless. So,
yeah,
yeah, great, very exciting stuff.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that now, simulation, mannequin simulation is just so ingrained in everything we do. Like we don't even think about it. We don't even think about where did it come from? How did it get here? How did we get here? Those kind of things. We don't even think about it anymore. And I think we're going to get to that day with virtual reality. And I think it's going to move faster now than it did because when we're talking about mannequin simulation, we're going back to, maybe the 60s, the 70s, the 80s,
Decades.
maybe even a little further back, right?
Yep.
But things moved slower. Things moved much slower in terms of progress. Today, they move much, much faster in terms of progress. And I think that's what we're seeing with virtual reality right now. And that's what we'll see with virtual reality in the future as well.
Well, because you're in this like interconnected global community now, right? Like with the mannequins, they were doing innovation, but then they had to go to the annual convention. IMSH every year essentially was the main one. There was a bunch of them, but IMSH was the main one. And I love looking at there's a few photos I found of like the early IMSH days, and I know Dr. Bauman talks about that too. In the early times when they just were getting started, it was a tiny little conference. It was
Yeah,
tiny. It was hundreds of
yeah,
people, a few hundred people.
yeah,
And now it's this huge thing with thousands of people all over the world coming to it. But you're right, it's like it took a long time because they were working in these individual silos. Well, now we're working in these interconnected digital lab environments in virtual reality where, you could be, working with a neonatal resuscitation team in Vietnam, like we're seeing what Dr. McAdams doing, or you could be working with, somebody at DuPont Children's Hospital, or, anywhere you can just instantly be together and running simulations with people from all over the world. So I think that's a
Yeah,
great, exciting new place. And I think because of those sort of the catalyst of all those nodes in that network, I think the growth and the expansion of it is going to go much, much faster. I think you're absolutely right.
yeah, agreed, agreed. Yeah, this year actually, so I went to IMSH last year, although I think I mentioned on Simpulse what a catastrophe it was with all my
That's
flight
right.
issues and all that stuff.
That's
I didn't
right.
want
That's
getting
right.
there till like the thing until it was almost over. But I'm going to FETC this year. Um,
Okay.
I'm going to be going to that one to check it out. Just for overall technology and how we can implement more technology in that's I know that I think that one's a little maybe a little more geared to K through 12, but there's higher ed stuff there as well. And then any of the technology really it carries over. So if anyone happens to be going to it, you want to say hi, I'll be there. So
Yeah. Reach
yeah,
out.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, definitely reach out. We can sit down and have a talk. So especially if you're thinking, maybe I should get involved in this, maybe I shouldn't. Yeah, you should. You should get involved.
Yep,
So,
absolutely. It's very rewarding. It takes time, takes some patience, it takes building a community of other innovators that are like-minded, but once you get that together and you have that sort of consortium, it starts to grow pretty quickly. And then I
absolutely.
always, somebody said, I don't think I coined it, but like somebody said that these VR headsets they convert on contact, right? If
Yes.
you're
Oh yeah, they
uncertain,
do.
you're not really sure about whether this is really a real thing or not, that's my to this day my favorite thing to do is put a headset on someone who's never tried it before.
Oh yeah.
There's like it's hard to find somebody these days that hasn't tried legit VR. It used to
Yeah.
be like, well, I tried Google Cardboard and did a
Yeah.
roller coaster and it made me sick, 10 years ago, but it's harder to find people that haven't tried like at least an Oculus Quest or a Meta
Yeah.
Quest. So, but every once in a while somebody comes in doesn't has never tried it before and they're like, I've never put on a headset, I have no idea what this is like, and that is the best experience putting it
Yes.
on, especially if
Yeah.
they're into medical simulation and they've been in that career for decades and they put on the headset. It's like, whoa, the patient is blinking and looking at me and moving around and all the equipment, you can pick it up and you're in this operating room and then you take the headset off and you're back in the classroom and it's like, whoa.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really, really cool to see that.
I'm very lucky that I still have a lot of those. Um,
Excellent.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I what I love too is when you get those people that are like,
Yeah.
eh, or they think, oh, I have to learn a whole new way of doing things and I have to learn a whole new program and then you bring them in, you go, well, they say, well, what simulation do you have? And I've skipped past that question. I say, no, it's not about that. It's what mannequins I have. It's this is what I have in this environment because you start to think, oh well, it's very specific, and I can't customize it myself. Oh, we absolutely can. Tell me what you're looking for, and we'll make sure that we get it done. I'll even build it with you. I've helped other instructors from other places and met with them in Acadicus and said, hey, let's work on some things. If you're looking for this, you're looking for that, or they're like, oh, I'm trying to get, the dental program to come on board. And I just, how am I going to help? How am I going to, how am I going to promote that with them? Like, what things are the students going to be able to do? Oh, there's a million things we can do. Here, let's look at this. Let's try this. Let's try that. And then it gets the ball rolling for them as well, where they start to go, oh, well, what if we did this? And I go, oh, that's a great idea. So so that's one of the things I really like about it is that it's just you don't have to you don't have to be beholden to a certain way of doing things. You know, I
Absolutely.
I don't like that IV pole being over there to the right because it makes everything look cluttered. Okay, put it where you want me to put it.
Yep.
Wait, what? Yeah, where do you
Wait,
want me to
what?
put
Yeah.
it?
Once they see
Oh,
you
right
do that,
there.
like, wait a minute. Yeah. Yeah.
My favorite was recently I put some students in because I wanted to show them the effectiveness of like the Gen 2 patients. And so I had Gen 2 patient Michael. I had him in a like an ER room kind of environment, right? And they can listen to lung sounds and all that stuff. It was really cool. But then I put him in with the accident cars, where all of the accident cars are there, and I just had him sitting on the curb. I took him and I put him in a sitting position, and I put him so that he's sitting on the curb, and I left him hand grabbable because I was waiting for them to figure it out. They're going to figure it out, right? I was waiting for them to figure it out. Left him hand grabbable, and they go in there and they're talking to him and everything, and one person goes, "Whoa, wait a minute," and picks him up and is like, "I can." Let's move him around. Let's put him over here. Let's put him over there. Wait a minute. What if we put him here? What if he's standing up and he's over here looking out the window? Or what if he's sitting and he's coming out the window? Like, I was just like, go,
That's
go.
awesome.
Because it's so much fun. And then they're like, well, okay, now I get it. Right. And the instructor was watching at the same time. And that was kind of the point, was the instructor was watching at the same time. And the instructor's like, wow, yeah, you can move that guy. You can put him anywhere, right? I'm like, yeah, anywhere you want, wherever you want to put him, So that gets that thought process going too,
That thought process is what it's all about, because they
Absolutely.
sometimes the doubters are really the ones that become your biggest supporters. Like, don't give up, because eventually they try it, like they say, they converts on contact, they put the headset on, they see what's possible, and they sort of have that aha moment. But then you might not hear from them for a little while,
Yeah.
but then, like, it's often a few weeks later, you hear from them like, I haven't been able to stop thinking about that, and I thought of this new thing I want to do, and we're having a problem teaching students this one thing because it's hard to visualize. Or yeah, I've got students that are located in different campuses and I want to be able to teach them all at the same time. Or they think of something and then you can't stop them. The ball starts rolling and they're just
Right.
like, what I could do is I could do this and I could do it. And just then they're on board and you got a
Yep.
supporter. So,
Yep. Absolutely. And that's exactly the way it happens. And it happens way faster than you expect it too. Especially I've had naysayers who've come in and they've left and they go, yeah, it was all right. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Have a good day. Like, yeah, okay. Yeah, you too. Take care. And I've had it to where within 24 hours they're calling me back. Or, it's been that quick where
yep.
they go, wow, I went home and I told my wife about it, or I went home and I was talking about it with my kids, and they were like, well, I want to go there if you can do that. And then and it's that quick, and they go, oh, wait a minute, hold on, this got a lot of power,
Yep.
a
Yep.
lot of power, and yeah, that's how it
Yep.
happens.
And you're
That's how
right
it
to show the students in front of the instructors another great strategy. Like, if the instructor's doubtful or they're not really sure about it, or they're tentative. It's not that there's
happens.
anything wrong with that perspective. They're skeptical, they're not sure, and they want to see a demonstration of it.
Of course.
But if put their students in the headset and have the instructor just watch those students and watch the students take off the headset going, I don't want to stop doing this. Like, this is
Yeah.
incredible. I want all my simulation to be like this, that
Yep.
it happens all the time. They get really excited about it. And I think that's the whole thing right there, is they're excited. And if they're
Yes.
excited, they're going to look forward to it. And if they're looking forward to it, they're leaning in. They want to learn and they're going to remember what they're learning longer. I think that's just the underlying principle of this whole thing, is just to get them excited. And that sense of awe, that sense of like, wow, like this is fun and exciting. It's got a coolness factor to it. I think that's just the name of the game in education, is you got to get those students engaged. When they're just looking at their phones and they're on TikTok all the time, it's like a hyper stimulated environment that they're in. And then you have to like go back and like, let's open our textbooks or let's watch a PowerPoint,
Yeah.
or you just
Yeah.
lose them. They check out, right? They're just
Yep.
not there. They have to just get the credits, but like, you put them in a headset, now you're speaking their language. You're showing them
Yeah.
something that's right along the lines of where they're at and what they're looking for. And it's, yeah, exciting.
I've
So
always said we have to be more interesting than this thing.
that's
Uh,
right.
It's
That's tricky.
hard. It's hard. It is. It
Yeah.
is. I mean, you have to almost be an entertainer in some sense. And I do that. I did that with my students when I was in EMS, and I do that now. They come in and they start laughing and they have a good time, and I mean, and then I'll even take it too. So like, I had one student come in, and what I like to do with the chairs, I like to sit them around in like a U shape, so that we can all kind of talk to each other, see each other, that kind of stuff. It's a little bit more conducive to discussion. And she goes, wow, I feel like I'm at like AA or something like that, And so I just kind of ran with it. I'm like, hi, my name is Bill. I've been doing VR for 5 years now. And actually it's gotten so bad that now my kids are doing it. And so, just trying to figure out what I can, and they're laughing and that completely takes away because some will come in with their arms folded with a really like, I don't want to do this look on their face. But then you start to take that away, you disarm it, you take them away, take that away, and then you put them in the headset. And John, you said it, it's an almost immediate conversion. And you can watch the ones that are naysayers when they put the headset on. You watch their facial
Yep.
expression, and you just go, "Ah, we got them."
Yep.
Like, yep, absolutely.
Set the hook.
Another thing to address too, we mentioned it very briefly, but you said something about like, they use the Google Cardboard and they got dizzy and all of that stuff. And I'll still have people come in and say, "Oh, this is gonna make me throw up. Oh, I can't do this." Okay. And I just kind of I take that with a stride and I say, well, I think it's good. Like, give it a shot, those kind of things. Sometimes I won't even really acknowledge it unless they're going again, like they're sort of saying it again. Um, Out of all of my students, and at this point we're probably somewhere in the 500 to 700 range for students that we run through VR. I've had two that have had to take the headset off. Two. That's it. Two. One had a medical issue that would cause that, right? It was a vertigo issue. But it was like it was something completely different and not just standard vertigo. I have standard vertigo. You have standard
I
vertigo.
do.
But it only two that have had to take the headset off. That's it. And as
And then
far
switch them
as
over to non-VR mode. They don't even have to be in a
absolutely,
headset. It's totally fine.
and that's the key too, is that you can just say, all right, that's fine. We'll put you in non-VR modes, no problem. And they're like, oh, okay, so I can still be a part of this, and
Yep.
I don't have to feel like I'm left out, because we talk about that inclusion and how important that is. And so, of all the students that have had, any complaints, most of it has been like it was too hot in the room, or it was that everybody was too loud, or whatever, that kind of stuff, right? And that's kind of on me, like, hey, here's the volume on the bottom. Did you know that was there? Oh, I didn't know that was there. Um, but out of all of that, it's been about 10% have said, they have some sort of like dizziness or something like that. But again, only two have taken the headset off and said, I can't do this. That's it. Now I'm not challenging anyone else that's watching this to be like, oh, well, I'm going to start taking the headset off. Um, but yeah, that's it. I've had two.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
and the ones that have complained of dizziness, it didn't persist. I had one the other day that said something about it, and I said, "Listen, if it persists, let me know." She's like, "Oh, it's already gone." Like, "Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry."
There you go. Yep. And just always keeping that non-VR option open.
Yeah,
It's always there. You can always just go into non-VR. You don't have to be in a headset. It's really important. And instructors have to know that they don't have to be in a headset in order to administer a
yeah,
virtual simulation in Acadicus. You can be in non-VR mode, easy peasy. You open up your menu, you're sitting there, you got a dashboard, eyes open, eyes closed, turn their head, stand up, sit down. You've got all the controls at your fingertip. It's so easy. It just couldn't be easier to click on cognition and just see all the different options for what you can change in real time. You don't have to be in a headset. You don't even have to be in the same room. You could be at home if you want. If you've got a
yeah,
computer that works with it, you can be located, 1,000 miles away. It doesn't really matter. The students log in. You all feel like you're in the same room together. Instructor goes into ghost mode. The student can't see them, and they're changing the simulation on the fly and running through the scenario and able to talk to each other, hear things, hand things back and forth, just as if you're in the same room together. Most people just
yeah.
don't realize that that's possible yet. It's
Yeah,
still
of
you
course.
tell people that and they're like, "Wait, what?" Like, yeah, you can hand an endotracheal tube to somebody that's 1,500 miles away from you and
Yep.
show them how to do an endotracheal intubation. They're just like, "Wait, how does that even work?" But it's
Yeah.
possible. You just got to put on the headset and try it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm never in VR when I'm running simulations. Never. I always have the sim next to me because the instructor will give me the simulation that they want. I'll work on it in a catechist, make sure it's exactly the way they want it. I'll let them preview it, and then we kind of go. So we go through a whole process. But I always have that simulation sitting there next to me, so I can always reference back to it. And I'm in non-VR mode, and then I'm hooked up via HDMI to one of our larger TVs, and that allows the instructor to watch what's going on. And to be able to tell me, hey, wait, not yet. like don't go into that portion yet, whatever it may be. So the instructor can still, they can still control it. I'm actually excited for our new employee. I'm really excited because I'm looking forward to doing something like that, right? Where the person we hired on is up at Reedsburg and helping everybody get into the headsets and all of that kind of stuff. And the simulation calls for whatever it may be, and I'll be here. I can run the simulation from right here, an hour and a half south of Reedsburg. I can sit right here and run that simulation. And we have another person too that was already working with us that's gonna be taking over some of the stuff out in Watertown. So same thing, right? Watertown's an hour from me. I can be sitting here going through the entire sim. They can be in the room making sure that everything is going right, everybody's in headset, all of that's going okay. And then the instructor is there watching in headset, or I'm sorry, not in headset, watching in the room, or if they want to be at home too, they can be doing that as well. So I'm really looking forward to that day where we're doing a little bit more of that dynamic, simulation. So we've done it. We've done it with the folks over in Denmark. We did that. I've mentioned that on a bunch of Simpulses where I was teaching people how to do wound care, and they were in Denmark, and I was here. It's 5 o'clock over there. It's 8 o'clock over here, and we're doing wound care and stuff like that. So yeah, the possibilities are endless. I'm really excited for the day to bring in an expert from somewhere else, very far away, that's an expert at something and can more or less do a live lecture in virtual reality back to the classroom, something like that, and be, teaching all of the amazing things that they know how to do. So
That's awesome. And all of this for yeah, significantly less investment than you would put into a lot of, like, if you have to replenish
oh,
all of your high fidelity
amazing.
mannequins. Again, we're not trying to replace mannequins. Like, people always
No,
think that, like, we're trying to, absolutely not. That's never going away. That's a very important modality. But there's a sort of a fraction of the percentage of investment that has to go into that you could reallocate to this in order to get these extra legs, these extra possibilities where you can do things you couldn't do before. And, like, I think you're seeing the potential for a significant return on your investment when you have somebody as valuable as Bill that doesn't have to be traveling an hour to go to this lab, an hour to go to that lab, and is able to activate simulations and run them remotely from distance.
yep,
We're just at the ground floor there, but that too is like a whole new dimension to bringing simulation into this virtual environment and being able to run and administer simulations from a remote location. That's a significant return on investment over time, I think.
absolutely. Absolutely. And there's more too. I think there's even more that can be done as well. It's, if there's a camera to the room and there's a TV, I can essentially give instruction from distance if I had to do that as well. I can then maybe log into the computer that's already there in the room. So if you had to go to that distance, you absolutely could. But I'm gonna have people that are already well versed in what we do. I'll be starting training for that in January for our new individuals, our new hires, I guess we would say. So I'll be starting that training. I've already had one come in and shadow and go, wow, this is great. This is, and it was funny too. So I was doing something with respiratory therapy, okay? And we because I always think about scalability. The very first thing I think about when they say, I want to do this with my lab class, or I want to do this with my lecture classes. All right, you got 24 students. How do I do this? Right? How do I scale this? You can scale it. Believe me, you can scale it. Um, so the instructor said to me, "Can you just teach me how to operate? Like, can you just do that? Teach me how to operate, and then I can be a second one." So we had two running. We had two completely different rooms. She was running one of the simulations with three students. I was running the other simulation with three students, and they were all in the XR Center together. So we had to kind of worry about a little bit about audio bleed over and stuff like that. But we worked all of that out. And I taught that instructor how to operate the mannequin in about 30 minutes. That was it. It really wasn't much, and I started off, I showed her the sim manager, and I was like, okay, so you open your sim manager, and then here, you want to change the vitals, you change the vitals, right? It's under the vitals tab. And she's like, okay. Like she's starting to get bored, and I haven't even started talking about it. She's like, uh-huh, vitals under the vitals tab. Sure, Bill, that makes sense. And then I'm like, here under animations, it's, this is where you sit the patient up, or this is where you, like, so, and it was that quick. Within 30 minutes, she had it. She's like, oh, okay, well, I can run this.
That's
And we're done.
awesome.
And
And
that's
you're
it.
done.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Yeah. And then the other instructor was Patty Montgomery. She was there. Now Patty's been part of simulation now for a couple of years. She's been with us in terms of doing simulation respiratory therapy. Well, Patty was like, "Oh, well, I can solve some of the little troubleshooting issues, Bill." And I'm like, "Y'all, can I? You're gonna take? I like it. Great.
That's great.
What do you want me to do? Like."
She's got
They're
it.
already like, and Patty's like, oh, I don't worry about headset. I can help the students with headsets. I can help the students with, getting into Acadicus. I can help the students with, learning how to teleport around. And she's like, see, I'm like, y'all are great. So if you need something from me, let me know.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's really great. It's really great to just start to see everything. It's almost starting to grow beyond me, which is good.
That's awesome. Patty too has just been such a great innovator from
Oh
the
yeah.
ground, from the beginning. She's fantastic. So it's been great to have her on board.
Yeah, absolutely. And she does some presentations as well. If one's coming up, I'll make sure to mention it on Simpulse, because that's another person you really want to listen to. You want to listen to Patty, you want to listen to Melissa. Those are people that can tell you so much about what they do. And I didn't realize how important that was. Okay, I'm a person who's very much inside my own head, and I'm very much like, I'll just do it. I already know what I want to do, how I want to do it, all of that. I'll just go ahead and do it. I don't necessarily need to see what other people are doing. I've seen some of it, whatever. I don't necessarily need to see what other people are doing, but I didn't realize how important that was. And talking to my wife, who's an early childhood educator, and absolutely brilliant woman, and she goes, yeah, it's called parallel play, right? This is what kids do. This is how kids learn. And we're not that far away. We're adults, but this is how we learn too. We sort of watch other people do certain things. And once you kind of got an idea, oh, how did you do that? Or how did you do that? It's parallel play. You're learning from other people and you're playing alongside of them. And so now I've incorporated so much more of that in my training, in saying, hey, you need to come and see so and so do this, or you need to come and see so and so do that, which for me was like, I don't need to do that. Why are we doing this? I didn't realize how important that was, and it's been great. So if you have someone who's already doing stuff, maybe in your organization, something like that, go watch. Go watch. That will definitely help you. I guarantee it.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
More than I ever realized too, I guess. I don't. The problem is I got all these other smart people around me. They gotta help me out here, Like,
Let me just see here. Oh, Sean's here. What's up, Sean?
hey Sean.
Cool. We covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
We are going to be onboarding a new customer experience specialist to help assist with some of the customer experience stuff. So we'll be introducing them in the weeks ahead, as soon as we get them on board. But yeah, a bunch of exciting stuff coming up, and we're just continuing to build and grow. So appreciate everybody joining us today. And
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see you next Friday.
Yeah.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
Thanks, Bill.
Take care,
Thanks,
John.
Sean. See you, Sean. Bye bye. Have a good weekend.